Can you read to me the nameplate?
Judge Eboni K Williams.
So the only thing that matters in this particular courtroom is how I see it. I am from North Carolina by way of Louisiana with some West Coast cool and a New York edge. Do we have a problem, ma'am?
No, I don't, Your Honor.
Equal justice is all about the most important values of our country: freedom, integrity, and those are the things that I'm striving for. Ma'am, you run your household, this man gets to run his. I decided to become an attorney and pursue the law. I wanted to be a voice for the voiceless. This court cannot hold this woman accountable. People from all sectors of life, black, white, purple, gay, straight, queer, and that's what equal justice with Judge Eboni K Williams is all about.
Chelsea Minor claims her son came home with a damaged cell phone after he went to the water park with friends. Alice Lighthouse says the boy hid his phone instead of giving it to her for safekeeping like the other kids did.
Ms. Minor, why are we in court today?
So Alice and I met a little over a year ago, and we started building a friendship. And then one day she took my son to a water park, and while they were there, her son grabbed my son's cell phone and dropped it. It cracked the screen and it was water damaged. And so I didn't know it had happened right when it happened. I found out a little bit after. But once I found out, I immediately reached out to Alice to let her know that she was responsible because she was in care of my son at the time, and her son damaged my son's phone by yanking it out of his hand, and I asked her to pay for the damaged phone.
Okay, and what did she say when you asked her? You're saying the phone damages were worth $319.88?
Well, the phone was completely damaged. So the screen was cracked.
Right.
I tried to repair it. The water damage by putting it in rice. I always hear that's like a thing to do.
Correct.
So I tried that for a few hours. That didn't work. My son, I don't like to have my son go anywhere without his cell phone. I'm just nervous. I'm kind of like that helicopter mom. And so I don't like him going anywhere without a cell phone. Okay. And so once I found out it was damaged and couldn't be repaired, I had to immediately get him a new phone. But instead of buying a new phone, like an expensive phone, I just went and got a refurbished phone, which was the cheapest thing I could find. Okay. Because I didn't want to ruin our friendship with this situation. And so I tried to be as reasonable as possible. And that's why the price is what it is. It's for a refurbished phone, which was the $319.88.
Okay. Ms. Minor, are you and the defendant friends today?
We are not currently friends since this interaction, which is unfortunate. We have not spoken since this incident happened. We had some text exchanges that day, and then I tried to reach her before I texted her. She didn't respond, and then I was able to get her on the phone to speak to her about this, but that's the last I've heard from her.
Okay. Do you have any evidence, ma'am, of the text messages so the court can see the communication?
Unfortunately, I don't. I usually delete my messages just to save space on my phone.
Okay. Let me get to you, Ms. Lighthouse. What do you have to tell the court today?
Sorry, Your Honor. There's some really important facts that have been left out. I had her daughter and her son, and my daughter and my son, 4 children, at a water park. I was watching them very diligently. The very first thing I had them do is put all valuables in a locker, at which time her son defiantly didn't tell me, but kept it and put it in his towel. Didn't tell me about that at all. We went to the lockers. We put what I thought everything is. The kids seemed to only have their towels and their goggles. I was assisting the little girls because they were having a hard time.
How old were the little girls?
They're 8. And
okay, so 8, 9, and then the boys are 10, 11. Okay.
And the boys were standing by themselves. I didn't see any harm or danger. They were just talking to each other, laughing, being silly.
Having fun. It's a water
and
park, for God's sakes.
I'm helping them get their goggles on.
Yeah.
And apparently during that time, he took it out of the water case that his mom had put it in and was doing a game, and my son took it away from him, and it slipped and fell. And I guess neither of the boys wanted to tell her, so now she doesn't know. I never even knew he had a phone.
So did you know, Miss Lighthouse, that the phone was damaged at the water park?
No.
So you had no idea?
I didn't even know there was a phone.
So when did you become aware that there was a phone and that it was irrevocably damaged?
When she aggressively started texting me at night and being super rude, telling me that I owe her money and that my son broke her phone and all this other stuff. She didn't even bother to ask me like what the story was or my side. She just, I have the text.
So you have the text?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead and proffer that, ma'am, to my bailiff so we can see. Give him all of the evidence, ma'am, the whole folder.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, let's see here. This is from you, Miss Minor. Hi, Alice. I was told by my son that your son dropped and damaged his phone at the water park. And you say, I didn't know that he had a phone and all the kids' personal items should have been in a locker at the park. Miss Minor says, well, as of now, my son's phone is damaged and you need to pay because you should have been watching them. You then say, defendant, no, it's your son's fault because he disobeyed my direct request, which was to put all personal items in the locker. Okay. Ladies, I'm going to hear from the young men at this point in time. They were actually there. Mr. Timothy, go ahead and approach, stand beside your mom, please, dear sir. The court appreciates your attire today. You look very nice. Thank you. Okay. He's sworn in, Mr. Bailiff?
He is sworn in.
Okay, excellent. So, Mr. Timothy, talk to the court about why, when you went to the water park under Miss Lighthouse's care, when she said to you, girls and boys, put all your devices in this little safe haven to keep safe, why didn't you do that?
Coming up on Equal Justice.
She also knows that
Never
I'm
with
an
water.
overprotective parent who worries about their child. And this was the first time that my child was going with her alone.
Let me ask you a direct question, Ms. Minor. Do you trust this woman? Did you trust this woman?
If you'll be in the Los Angeles area and want to bring your case to court, call 1-888-552-6878. This is Equal Justice. Equal Justice is back with a case of Chelsea Minor, who blames her former friend, Alice Lighthouse, for her son's broken cell phone.
I didn't really want to because I was told by my mom to have it on my person at all times. And I had never gone with her anywhere alone before.
Right.
So I wanted my mom and me to both feel safe by allowing me to hold my phone and have it on my person at all times so I can reach out to her if anything went wrong.
Per your mother's instruction. Okay, the court understands that. How about you, Mr. Eric? Go ahead and approach and stand beside your mother, sir. Thank you. Okay, he's also been sworn?
Yes, Your Honor.
Excellent. Okay, Mr. Eric, now tell the court at what time, and you two were friends, right? You and
Yes.
Mr. Timothy here. At what point you and your friend are at the water park, you guys are having fun, you put your phone away, right? When
Yes.
your mom asked you to.
Yes.
And then you notice your friend here, Timothy, still has his phone, and he's playing a game, and then when did you decide to touch the phone?
So we had just gotten to the wave pool, and I wanted to try the game because he was looking at it. So I grabbed the phone, I started tapping it and stuff like that. And then it slipped out of my hands, face first onto the ground, and also got some water on it and damaged it.
Got it. Okay, I was told that somebody has the phone in court today.
I do, Your Honor.
Okay, go ahead and proffer that to my bailiff, ma'am, so the court can examine the damage. Thank you, sir. Okay, yeah, I see. Cracked screen. Oh wow, this is totally busted here. This is destroyed, right? So this has no value, no worth. I assume, Ms. Minor, you couldn't get any return value for this?
No, I mean, had it just been the cracked screen,
But the water
we would have
damage.
gone on, but the water damage made it so that it's useless.
It's
can't,
worthless.
It
Okay,
can't be
it's
turned
literally,
into anything.
and, you know, from legalese, it's worthless, has zero
Yes.
value. Okay. All right, so you guys are playing, and it gets the water damage. Now, this is important, Mr. Eric here. How did you and your friend Timothy decide to hide it, right? Because you guys decided it's best not to tell mom here.
Yeah, because we knew we would both get in trouble.
Right. And why is that? Because your mom had told you guys to put the phones away early?
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
And I was covering for him.
Ah, I see. Because you did what your mom said and you put your phone away. Okay, that's interesting. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Eric. You can have a seat. Mr. Timothy, thank you for your testimony. You can have a seat as well. So I'm going to get back to the moms here. So, Miss Lighthouse, the first you're hearing of a phone mishap is when your then friend aggressively contacts you saying she owes money, that you owe her money.
Yes,
And
correct.
what was your response to that?
I was taken back. First of all, I didn't even know about it, and I felt like if it was such an important thing to her, why didn't she tell the adult in charge that there was a phone?
I think that's a worthwhile question. Ms. Minor, why didn't you think to inform the caretaker of your child, hey, listen, I know they're going to a water park. it's going to be, you know, risky when it comes to expensive things, but our policy in our home is to keep a way of contacting one another.
I didn't feel like it was necessary to say that because it seems very obvious in this time of day that kids have cell phones all the time. They have their cell phone with them all the time. We've gotten together many times at the park, at different events, and our kids both have their phones with them all the time. She also knows that
Never
I'm
with
an
water.
overprotective parent who worries about their child.
Right.
And this was the first time that my child was going with her alone.
Let me ask you a
And
direct question, Ms. Minor. Do you trust this woman? Did you trust this woman?
when I've interacted with her in the past at the park and different activities, she'll let her kids run off. She won't keep a good eye on them. So I was very nervous because I'm very protective of my child. Even though we've built a relationship, I mean, even this goes to show she wasn't really paying attention.
Well, so you were
she didn't
testing
even, she's saying she didn't know he had a phone. So she's supposed to be
'Cause he
watching my
hid it in
kid
a
all
towel.
day.
Okay, all
yeah,
right.
but they were standing there with it.
Okay, ladies, I will get a determination around who's right and wrong here. I'm still collecting facts.
Yes.
Go ahead, Ms. Minor.
She's standing, if my son and her son are standing there playing with a phone, how can she say she didn't see it or know the whole day? That means she wasn't watching them.
No, come on, Ms.
They're
Minor.
at a water
Ms.
park.
Minor, Ms. Minor, Ms. Minor. I'll handle this, Ms. Lighthouse. Ms. Minor, in fairness, your son is 10 years old, so you know how children are. So you can't expect this court to reasonably believe, ma'am, that never in all of these 10 plus years you've had children and you and your, family, that you have your eyes on them 24/7, right? Children sometimes get into things, right, Ms. Minor?
That might be true, but if I was with her children, I would have had my eyes on them the whole time
would have
because
had your
I'm a
eyes glued
single
on them
parent. And she is a
24/7.
single parent, and
And
she
left
knows
the daughters
that
alone.
we are watching. No, I wouldn't have let the daughters alone. I would have had them all go together. If I'm going to take
They were
responsibility
getting
of 4
in the
children,
pool.
I'm going to make sure I have my eye on all 4 children around water. Of course, I'm going to be prepared.
Okay, ladies. Okay, I can tell there's no love lost here in this friendship. That's for sure.
Coming up on Equal Justice.
You said you bought her kids food all day?
Yeah.
So she sent her children, or her, yeah,
No,
her children.
You did not send
Miss
any
Minor,
money.
she sent her kids with you all day with no cash?
No cash. They had nothing.
This is Equal Justice. Equal Justice is back with a case of Chelsea Minor, who blames her former friend, Alice Lighthouse, for her son's broken cell phone.
I think I've heard enough, but I do want to give you an opportunity, Miss Lighthouse, to give a closing statement to the court
Okay.
as to why hear me out. You've got to tell me why you don't feel at all responsible for the $319.88 refurbished phone due to her son's phone being damaged while in your care.
I think it's 2-part. One, it's the audacity that she has to come at me when I was doing a favor for her. I bought her kids food all day. I watched her kids very attentively. They were never more than 5 feet out of my sight. Kids tucking a phone in a cell and hiding
I'm so sorry,
it.
Miss Lighthouse. I have to stop you. You said you bought her kids food all day?
Yeah.
So she sent her children, or her
No,
children.
You do not send
Miss
any
Minor,
money.
she sent her kids with you all day with no cash?
No cash. They had nothing.
Miss Minor, what do you say to that?
I said that's a flat-out lie. I
Okay.
sent
Where's
my
your
son
money?
with money, and he also has Apple Pay on his
Maybe
phone.
he was hiding that too.
So he has access to money at all times. That's
Okay.
part of having the phone
Can I
on
say
him.
one more thing?
One final thing and make it quick, ma'am.
I just feel like if a responsible adult would have told me that there was a phone, I could have been responsible for a phone. Without knowing that there was a phone there, I can't be responsible for what I don't know. And as a parent, as another parent, any parents I deal with, they communicate with each other and not this secret. I don't care. Spy on me. Say do you want to be able to call them? I don't care. Just let me know that you have an expensive phone that you want me to be responsible for. Secondly, it's not about the phone. It's about the attack and about the fact that she's acting like I wasn't watching her child when he was like 8 feet away from me just because he turned and had a phone inside of a towel. I don't know what he's doing with the phone inside the towel, why I'm helping her put her goggles on.
The daughters. Okay.
Yeah.
So
All right.
It's
I got you, Miss Lighthouse.
direct character assassination.
All right, Miss Lighthouse. Let's not be too dramatic.
Coming up on Equal Justice.
Now, I don't have to tell the adults in this room what happens when you make an assumption. You make an ASS out of you and me.
This is Equal Justice. Equal Justice is back with a case of Chelsea Minor, who blames her former friend, Alice Lighthouse, for her son's broken cell phone.
Can I say one thing?
Final word, Ms. Minor.
Okay. The main issue is that her son ripped it from my son's hands and damaged it. Flat out.
I would have paid for half if you had trusted me and told me.
She said that she was watching them but didn't know about the phone. She's saying it's irresponsible to not tell about the phone. I assumed everybody knows that children now have phones with them all the time. That's not, I have to disclose every item that my
Not
son
at a
is
water.
bringing to a park.
Okay.
And her son he said himself that he ripped it from his hand and he's the one that dropped it.
Okay. Ms. Minor, I appreciate your final thoughts. The court is ready to rule on this matter. So you actually said two really important words in your testimony today, Ms. Minor. The first is I made an assumption. Now, I don't have to tell the adults in this room what happens when you make an assumption. You make an ASS out of you and me. So when you tell this court, everybody knows, I assumed that this other adult would have known that all kids have cell phones these days. I'm here to tell you, breaking news, Ms. Minor, all kids do not have cell phones these days. Now, that is your choice to provide your child with such a thing, but that is not a duty that this woman would have to assume that. So I would say, and that's the key term I want to really reiterate in this case that's very important, ladies and young gentlemen, duty of care. My job in this case, ma'am, is to figure out what was this lady's duty of care to your son. And her duty of care was to keep him safe. I see that she has done that.
Judge Eboni's verdict when Equal Justice returns. This is Equal Justice.
Now, as it relates to his property, by you not letting her know to be on the lookout for cell phone activity, you crippled her ability to exercise a proper duty of care for the property of the young man. Okay? Now, hopefully you see that, and if not, it's something for you to think about. Now, Ms. Lighthouse, I do want to address the fact that your son touched this young man's property. Had he not been engaged in any way with this young man's phone, it would not have sustained the damage. So I see a mutual breach of duty by both of you mothers. These young men were just boys being boys, kids being kids. I'm not going to put any blame on them. But this is a breach of your duty, ma'am, to keep your son's hands to himself. And this is a breach of your duty, ma'am, to inform the co-adult here in the situation of all that she needed to be protecting. So this court is actually going to split equally the demand from the plaintiff, but only for half of her demand. That's my ruling.
Thank you.
All rise.
Judge Eboni has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant is ordered to pay $159.94.
Any final thoughts?
I would have agreed to this a long time ago.
I don't know why you didn't say something.
It wasn't offered to me. It was just kind of more of an assault, like, you know.
I didn't feel that way.
Ladies, you have your final day in court. Please follow me.
This has been a production of Allen Media Group.